My name is Liam. For as long as I could remember, I dreamed of becoming a published author. My head was filled with stories, characters, and worlds waiting to be brought to life. After years of honing my craft, I finally finished my first novel, a fantasy epic I poured my heart and soul into. The traditional publishing route seemed daunting, so I turned to self-publishing, hoping for a faster, more accessible path. That's when I found Wordsmith Pro Solutions, a company that promised to transform aspiring writers into bestsellers. Their website boasted dazzling success stories, professional-looking book covers, and testimonials from ecstatic authors. I genuinely believed I was partnering with experts who would help me realize my lifelong dream. But beneath the glossy marketing materials and the inspiring webinars, Wordsmith Pro Solutions was a predatory machine, meticulously designed to exploit the hopes and financial vulnerabilities of naive writers. Their true business wasn't publishing books. It was extracting every possible dollar from authors under the guise of professional services. Looking back, I wasn't just a client. I was a fresh target, a blank page ready to be filled with their deceptive schemes. My initial contact with Wordsmith Pro was a free consultation with a charming publishing specialist named MS Thorne. No relation to Mr. Thorne, thankfully, but just as deceptive. She praised my manuscript, calling it a hidden gem with immense potential. But the first red flag was the immediate and overwhelming pressure to purchase their all-inclusive publishing packages. These packages ranged from bronze at a few $1,000s to platinum at upwards of $20,000, each promising everything from professional editing, cover design, formatting, to aggressive marketing and distribution. They used high-pressure sales tactics like limited-time discounts and guaranteed bestseller potential if I signed up right away. Liam, your book is brilliant, Ms. Thorne cooed. But talent alone isn't enough. You need the professional touch. Our platinum package guarantees you the exposure you deserve. What's a few $1,000s when you're investing in your legacy? The cost was astronomical for a struggling writer, but the promise of success felt irresistible. I ended up signing for a gold package, draining my savings and taking out a small personal loan. Then came the issue of subpar or non-existent services. Once the payment cleared, the professional services I was promised either vanished or were delivered in the most rudimentary, unprofessional way. The professional editing amounted to a quick spell check, returning my manuscript with barely any substantive changes. The custom cover design was a generic template with stock images. The aggressive marketing campaign involved a few automated tweets and a single, poorly designed press release sent to irrelevant media outlets. My book was listed on Amazon, but it was lost among millions with no visibility whatsoever. I remember another author, a sweet old lady who had written a memoir about her late husband. She purchased a platinum package, dreaming of sharing his story. Wordsmith Pro took her money, delivered a rushed, unedited ebook, and then completely ignored her emails about marketing. Her book sold a grand total of 3 copies. All the family members. When she called, they simply told her, "Publishing is hard, ma'am. Not every book is a bestseller." They had no shame. The most egregious deception involved the predatory terms regarding royalties and ownership. While Wordsmith Pro promised generous royalty splits, their contracts were riddled with clauses that allowed them to take massive deductions for platform fees, administrative costs, and marketing overhead, often resulting in authors receiving little to no actual earnings. In some extreme cases, buried deep within the fine print, were clauses that subtly transferred partial ownership of the manuscript or intellectual property rights to Wordsmith Pro, effectively trapping authors and allowing the company to profit from their work indefinitely without fair compensation. The chilling realization dawned on me. Wordsmith Pro Solutions wasn't a partner, it was a parasite. The inspiring success stories, the professional facade, the promise of authorship, they were all part of an elaborate charade. Every time I looked at my poorly edited, invisible book, knowing the money and dreams I had poured into it, I felt a cold knot in my stomach. The blank page trap wasn't just about financial fraud. It was about systematically preying on creative aspirations, turning dreams into debt, and robbing authors of their intellectual property, all for the sake of boundless profit. The revelation of Wordsmith Pro's predatory fees and sham services was a bitter pill to swallow. My savings were gone, and my dream book was languishing in obscurity. But as I continued to observe their operations and interact with other authors, I uncovered even more insidious layers of their deception, stretching far beyond simple financial exploitation. I started noticing a pattern of psychological manipulation and blame shifting. Whenever an author expressed disappointment with their book sales or the lack of promised marketing, Wordsmith Prose specialists would expertly deflect blame. They'd attribute poor performance to market saturation, reader preferences, or, most cruelly, the author's own lack of engagement or unrealistic expectations. They would often push authors to buy more services, advanced marketing packages, social media boosting, or author branding workshops, claiming these were the real keys to success, just for an additional hefty fee. This created a cycle of dependency and self-blame, with authors continually pouring more money into a losing game. Liam, perhaps you haven't engaged enough with your author platform, MS. Thorne once suggested when I questioned my book's zero sales. True authors hustle. You need to invest more in our premium author outreach program if you want to see results. The constant pressure to spend more, combined with the blame, was soul-crushing. Then came the issue of intellectual property infringement and potential plagiarism. I started hearing whispers, and later, concrete evidence, that Wordsmith Pro was not only producing low-quality work, but was also involved in unethical practices related to content. Some authors discovered that sections of their professionally edited manuscripts had been copied verbatim from other online sources or public domain works without proper attribution. In other cases, unique plot lines or character ideas, shared during early consultations, would mysteriously appear in other books published by Wordsmith Pro under different authors. This raised serious concerns about their integrity and the potential legal risks they were exposing their unsuspecting authors to. I remember reading a review for another book Wordsmith Pro had published and recognizing a unique magical system that felt eerily similar to one I had painstakingly developed for my own manuscript, which I had shared with Ms. Thorne in detail. It was a chilling realization. They weren't just taking our money, they were potentially stealing our very ideas. The most egregious deception involved the creation of fake reviews and inflated sales numbers to lure new victims. Wordsmith Pro actively engaged in a practice known as review stuffing, where they would pay for or generate fake positive reviews on Amazon and other book-selling platforms to make their authors' books appear popular and successful. They also manipulated early sales data, perhaps by buying large quantities of their own published books, to create a fleeting bestseller status on obscure subcategories, which they would then heavily advertise to attract new, hopeful authors. This created an illusion of legitimacy and success, drawing more desperate writers into their web. The pressure to remain silent, to internalize the blame for my failure, became unbearable. Many of my fellow Wordsmith Pro authors were too ashamed, too financially depleted, or too terrified of legal repercussions to speak out. What's the point, Liam? They'd lament. They've already taken everything. No one will believe us. But I knew the truth. Silence was complicity. And the predatory cycle would continue. My sleep became restless, haunted by the blank pages of my bank statement, the phantom words I thought I owned, and the insidious smile of Miss Thorne. I started seeing every glowing bestseller badge not as a triumph, but as a potential lie, and every publishing promise not as a dream, but as a trap. The blank page trap was no longer just a metaphor, it was a horrifying reality, a systematic assault on creative spirit, turning literary ambition into financial ruin and emotional devastation. All for the sake of ruthless profit. I knew I couldn't continue to be a silent victim. The thought of watching another writer fall into their snare, knowing the heartache that awaited them, became an unbearable torment. The bitter taste of deception and the crushing weight of financial loss were unbearable. Every fake review, every manipulated sales figure, every blank page where my dreams should have blossomed, they gnawed at my soul. I saw the innocent faces of new authors, clutching their precious manuscripts, walking blindly into Wordsmith Pro's meticulously laid traps. I knew I couldn't be a part of this cruel charade any longer. My artistic integrity, my very sense of justice, demanded I act. The final breaking point arrived when I received a chilling email from Wordsmith Pro. It was a special offer to publish my next book at an even higher premium rate, with a thinly veiled threat that if I didn't comply, they would reevaluate our existing partnership. This blatant attempt to trap me further, to extort more money for a non-existent service, solidified my resolve. I had to expose them. That evening, I didn't go home. Instead, I meticulously compiled all the evidence I had collected, screenshots of their false advertising, copies of my dubious contract and misleading payment statements, emails from other disgruntled authors, and even records of their suspicious bestseller claims. It was a risky move, but the thought of remaining silent was far more terrifying than any threat they could wield. The next morning, I walked straight into Ms. Thorne's elaborately decorated office. She was on a video call, her voice dripping with artificial flattery to a potential new client. "Ms. Thorne," I stated, my voice steady, though my hands trembled slightly. "I'm terminating our agreement, and I'm going public with everything I know." She slowly ended her call, her forced smile dissolving into a sneer. "Terminating, Liam? And talking? You think it's that easy? You're a naive fool. We have ironclad contracts. We have lawyers on retainer. Your reputation will be destroyed. No publisher, no agent, no legitimate literary platform will ever touch you again. You'll be blacklisted from the entire industry. And remember, dear, we know how to make little authors like you disappear from the digital world, your words vanishing as if they never existed." She leaned back, a cold, predatory glint in her eyes. "Be smart, Liam. Be silent." Her threats were chilling, painting a vivid picture of professional oblivion. But the image of my unfulfilled dream, and the countless aspiring writers about to be ensnared, gave me an unyielding resolve. "I don't care," I said, meeting her gaze squarely. "My words are my own, and I won't be silent anymore. Not for you. Not for anyone." I turned and walked out, leaving behind the stacks of glossy brochures, the framed success stories that felt like a cruel joke, and the suffocating atmosphere of artistic exploitation. I didn't look back. I left my author pass on the reception desk, shedding the last vestiges of Wordsmith Pro Solutions. I knew the fight ahead would be long and arduous, a battle not just for my own justice, but for the countless others who had been, or would be, lured into this blank page trap. But I had already taken the first, most crucial step towards reclaiming my voice. It's been a year since I left. I'm now actively working with an online advocacy group dedicated to educating aspiring authors about publishing scams and connecting them with legitimate resources. The work is challenging and often emotionally taxing, but every time we help a writer avoid a predatory contract, every time we shed light on these hidden dangers, I feel like I'm finally honoring the true spirit of authorship, one built on integrity, not exploitation. Yet, the shadows of Wordsmith Pro still linger. Every time I see a flashy advertisement for guaranteed bestseller services, every time I hear of a new author losing their life savings, a cold dread washes over me. The faces of those who sought to share their stories but found only financial ruin and creative despair, they are the true ghosts of the blank page trap. Haunting reminders of the dark underbelly where literary dreams are devoured and passion is turned into profit through deceit. My experience in the self-publishing industry revealed a terrifying truth. The very path to fulfilling your dream of authorship can be paved with deception and financial ruin. Unscrupulous companies and individuals prey on your passion, your inexperience, and your desperate desire to see your words in print, turning your creative journey into a source of immense profit for themselves. So, how can you protect yourself from the blank page trap? Always remember to approach any self-publishing service with extreme caution and skepticism. Be wary of those that promise guaranteed success, unsolicited contact, or push for immediate, high-cost packages. Thoroughly research any company or individual you're considering. Look for independent reviews, check for any legal complaints or allegations of misconduct, and be cautious of overly glowing, undifferentiated testimonials. Never sign a contract without having an independent, experienced lawyer review it thoroughly, especially clauses related to fees, royalties, intellectual property rights, and cancellation policies. Be extremely wary of services that demand large upfront fees or those that push you into taking out loans. Always retain full copyright to your work. If something feels off, too good to be true, or if you feel pressured into signing, trust your instincts and walk away. Your creative work, your finances, and your peace of mind are too important to risk on a false promise of authorship. If Liam's story made you look at the self-publishing world a little differently, remember to like this video. Share this crucial warning with everyone you know, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another stark revelation. We'll continue to expose the hidden dangers in every profession. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, not every published book tells a happy story.